Like and subscribe now, or you're gonna have bad luck this week.
Coincidences are amazing because they bring on things you would have never imagined. Many historic coincidences led to a more positive outcome that in some cases even turned out to change people's lives, or at least their outlook towards life. Today, we're looking at 10 amazing coincidences that you won't have imagined. So, without any more delay, let us begin with number 10. But be sure to stay tuned till the last one as it is one of the best. Number 10. The Triplets reunited years later. As if having one doppelganger wasn't enough, this person here found out two of them. As infants, these three male triplets were individually adopted by three separate families without ever having the slightest idea about each other's existence. Fast forward 18 whole years later of being separate, two of them met one fine day as they happened to have enrolled in the same college. Both were very happy and excited to see each other, and the news of them being reunited in such a strange manner was published. It was then only that the third brother came to know about them and went out to seek his brothers. Astounded by the reunion, the three identical triplets became the subject of the 2018 documentary, which dug into the history of how they were separated in the first place. It was later found out that they were separated for scientific research so that the environmental effects could be studied upon the people having exactly similar genes. It seems like the three brothers weren't too happy to find out the truth, as they were reported to say that they were unhappy to be used as lab rats. A similar experiment was conducted on a pair of twins earlier, named James Allen and James Allen, who were grown separately and were later found out to have similar names of wives and even pets. What a coincidence. Number 9. The Thief on the Front Page. At least one fool ended up on Santa's naughty list in Idaho back in 2007 because just before the Christmas season, the sign painter Michael Milhouse made it to the front page of the Lewiston Tribune for his unique festival window decorations adorning the front of a store. But he didn't stay a beloved community member for long because it was a coincidence that on the same front page, a screenshot of CCTV footage showed Milhouse as the perpetrator behind a wallet theft. He was even wearing the same blue checkered coat in both of the pictures, making it all too easy to figure out that both of them were the same person. Readers of the paper caught the hint quickly and called the authorities to tell their findings, and poor Milhouse, who had just started enjoying his fame, was promptly taken into custody. Number 8. Disney World photo captures future couple. The idea of a Prince Charming that is so beautifully portrayed in the Disney movies did come true for this girl in none other than the land of fantasies itself. Yes, we are talking about Disneyland. Back in the days where both of them were living in different countries and hadn't met ever or fallen in love, both Donna and her future fiancé Alex were snapped in the same photograph at Disney World. As they were very young, Donna was being photographed with Mr. Smee. Alex came in the background as he was being pushed by his father in a stroller. The engaged couple discovered this as they were going through old photographs and were very excited to find this out. This surely is a twist of fate that had been written in the stars. It is heartwarming to know that at least for this couple, a little Disney magic with a sprinkle of some pixie dust maybe did make their lives better and full of love. Number 7. Same chopper, different ages. Here's the story of a boy who was very ambitious and had high hopes. The boy, in his childhood, was at an air show with his father and had his photograph taken behind the controls of a Kiowa helicopter. This experience inspired him to pursue a career as a pilot, and 20 years later, the boy actually grew up to fulfill his wish and live his dream. He found the picture after some time of being a pilot and recognized the Kiowa helicopter as one of the crafts he had been flying. Curiosity kicked in, and when he dug a little deeper, he was astounded to find out that the serial number on the helicopter that he had been flying was the same one as the helicopter in which he sat as a child and saw the dream of becoming a pilot one day. When it comes to wish fulfillment, this guy has crossed the limit and is so lucky to get to pursue his childhood passion and dream. Number 6. Hopkins finds an author's book. The actor Anthony Hopkins had been cast in the adaptation of The Girl from Petrovka and wanted to read the original book before he acted on it. He went out to find the original book but couldn't find a copy of it anywhere until he found an abandoned book on a nearby bench, which just so happened to be a heavily annotated copy of the book he was looking for, and he took it with him. Later on, while he was filming the movie, he met the author of the book named George Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer said that he had lent his copy of his book to a friend who had misplaced wasted. Hopkins then showed Pfeiffer the book he had found lying on a bench, and Pfeiffer recognized his own annotations, proving it was indeed Pfeiffer's lost book. At least he could say without any doubt that he did his research, right? Number 5. A villager saves a father and son 30 years apart. 80 years old, Xu Weifeng lived by a river with his wife in the Jiangsu province of China for all his life. He became somewhat a local celebrity in 2018 when he saved a young boy from drowning in the river. Despite being an old-aged fellow and also recovering from an injury at the time, he did not hesitate even a bit to save the young boy's life and jump in the river. The local news picked up on his heroic efforts, and after having a long conversation with the boy, Mr. Xu was amazed that he had saved the same boy's father 30 years earlier from drowning in the same river. Either Mr. Xu was their guardian angel, or Jiangsu must invest in some guardrails, but that is what we can elucidate from this tale. Number 4. Franz Ferdinand's car predicts the armistice. The event that kicked off World War I is said to be the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 that paved the way for the beginning of a 4-year-long war that tore through Europe before finally ceasing on the 11th of November in 1918, known and celebrated as the Armistice Day in the present times. Strange enough is the fact that this day of peace had already been set in store at the war's inception. Ferdinand was of course shot dead while he was riding in his car through the streets of Sarajevo, and the historical car now resides in an Austrian military history museum. The license plate of the car reads A3118, which can be interpreted as A for armistice and the rest of the characters for the date of the 4-year-long war's conclusion. The Archduke has the honor of bookending the war with these important numbers. Very interesting, isn't it? Number 3. Anne Parrish finds her childhood book. Here's another one about the books. This American author, Anne Parrish, had been inspired by Jack Frost and other stories that she enjoyed as a child, and this led her to pursue a career in writing novels and children's storybooks. While she was holidaying in Paris in the 1920s, she and her husband were looking through bookshops when she stumbled upon an old second-hand copy of the same Jack Frost book she used to love as a child. Amazingly, upon showing the book to the husband, he found her name and address written on the flyleaf. So Parrish was reunited with her favorite childhood book despite being separated by an entire ocean. How the book ended up in France, no one could be sure of. Number 2. Violet Jessup survives 3 doomed ships. Violet Jessup worked aboard ocean liners for the White Star Line throughout the early 20th century, even after seeing 3 maritime disasters. What a work ethic, we must say. She was aboard Olympic in 1911 when it collided with a warship but survived luckily, and only a few months later she was one of the few survivors of the famous Titanic sink, even tending to a lost baby in her lifeboat. When World War I began, she was appointed as a nurse in the ship known as Britannic, which was at the time repurposed as a hospital ship. The unlucky ship struck an underwater mine in the Aegean Sea and sank. Jessup was fortunate enough to survive a head injury from a propeller and escape disaster once again. Well, we don't know whether to consider her lucky or unlucky, but now it is up to you to decide. Don't forget to share with us in the comments below. Number 1. Entire choir avoids church explosion. Seems like something out of the movie The Final Destination, doesn't it? A Baptist church in Beatrice, Nebraska suffered a gas leakage on the 1st of March in 1950, which caused an explosion that demolished the building and would have surely killed everyone inside. But luckily, no one was inside. Surprisingly, all 15 members of the choir that was to rehearse in the church that night were running late for their own individual reasons, which included oversleeping, incomplete homework, a broken down car, and even pure laziness. All these reasons worked to spare them from death, and they were all fortunate to be alive and wondered what had saved them from all the bad that could have happened to them. Was it luck, a fluke of probability, or an act of God? Now, has any such coincidence happened to you ever? Please let us know in the comments below. Share your stories and we would be glad to hear them. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.